In the Mario franchise, it's hard to imagine there ever being a game that isn't a massive hit, whether it's a main series, Mario Kart, or even the sports titles. Even if they don't feel like a massive hit, they at least do well in sales, or at least critically. Then you have the random outliers and one-offs, and the success of these games really varies. You have games like Mario Teaches Typing and Mario Paint, and while they probably have their fans, they're not exactly treated as landmark titles. And then you have a game like Mario RPG, a beloved fan favourite game which many would claim is the best game in the Mario franchise, period. This game is the former when it could have been the latter.
Let's look at it like this. Out of every main Mario character, Peach was the only one without a game of her own. Before long, Luigi would have his own full-on series, and Wario, Mario, and Yoshi already had a plethora of titles at this point. So when they created a game for Nintendo's favourite princess, they needed to do something very special. And did they?
If you ask me, yeah, they did. I mean, in a slightly weird and backwards way, but yeah, they did. But if you ask most people on the internet, especially critics, they'll talk about this game like it's some lazy creation that did nothing good. And maybe I'm blind or being too nice, but I think that's BS. If you ask me, will this game blow you away? No, but I think it's unique enough and kind of quirky enough to stand out in the giant Mario catalogue.
I guess there's no better place to start talking about this game than the story, and it's a bit of a weird one in places, but that doesn't really matter. I like weird, I'm used to weird. So there's this mysterious island called Vibe Island, and no one talks about it, and it's basically only here for this game, but whatever. Bowser has a villa on Vibe Island and has enlisted his troops to fetch the Vibe Scepter, a magic wand of sorts that, if waved around a little, can make everyone in the vicinity experience extreme emotions.
Okay, here's the first complaint a lot of people have. The Vibe Scepter in general. The main complaints people have about this game are the Vibe Scepter and the emotion mechanic that was brought about because of the Vibe Scepter.
I'm sure you guys can put two and two together and gather that the Vibe Scepter kinda sounds like it's a dildo, but you know what, it doesn't matter. Who the fuck gives a shit? I was a kid when I played and beat this game for the first time and saw that ending credits bit about the Vibe Scepter, and it never really made me think to go and check my mum's room for a purple hot dog like a lot of people want to say kids probably did because of this segment.
And I get why people make the dumb jokes, okay? I mean, because of that final cutscene, it kind of feels like the entire game was just building to some big, dumb, elaborate dildo joke. Not to mention the emotion mechanic, which birthed its own dumb and annoying jokes. Now, discussing feminism in gaming is way above my pay grade, and I'm not even going to touch a topic with a 7-foot pole in relation to this game. But if you ask me, I think people are digging a little too deep and asking a few too many questions about a game starring, arguably, the world's most famous damsel in distress. If you're looking for a game starring a female protagonist that is powerful and empowering, go play fucking Metroid, Tomb Raider, Bayonetta, or even fucking A Hat in Time, I don't know.
I feel like people at the time of this game's release, as well as people who are only discovering the game now, were expecting way too much from a game starring Peach. Like, really? I mean, don't get me wrong, Peach is pretty badass in this game at times. But expecting a lot out of Peach is just dumb. It's like expecting a Wario game to have a deep and expertly crafted plot with strong character development and emotional scenes. But regardless, going back to the story, Bowser sends a Goomba to Peach's castle with a Vibe Scepter, accompanied by a whole army, while Peach is out on a walk, to capture Mario and Co, and they succeed. When Peach returns from a walk and learns of what happened to Mario, she storms off to save him, not before being entrusted with Perry the Parasol, a sentient parasol who serves mainly as a close-range melee weapon for Peach.
There's something this game does that's kind of unique. The melee combat, granted it's not a focus and it's kind of just there as an option, but I think it's executed fairly well. Especially for a side-scrolling 2D platformer, because it's kind of hard to include combat in a 2D platformer without taking away from the platforming. If you're any good at the game, you won't have to stop, hit the attack button and then move on. That being said, this game isn't all that hard. If anything, it's fairly fucking easy.
You see, in this game you have two meters, your heart and your vibe gauge, which is kind of like a magic meter. By default you have 6 hits, which is quite a lot. The latter half of this game does ramp up the difficulty a little bit, but it doesn't really make up for the fact that the first half of this game, if not a large majority of the game, is a fucking cakewalk. But that doesn't really ruin the game or anything for me. If anything, it just helps me appreciate the level design and puzzles a little more. Now, it isn't the best level design in the world, but it does work fairly well, and that's all that matters. You'll find occasional puzzles and enemies that will stump you, but with enough patience, you can work it out and they feel quite rewarding.
Most puzzles in this game are solved with the aforementioned emotions mechanic, and I say puzzles because they're more obstacles than anything.
Peach can use one of 4 emotions at any given time. These 4 emotions are Joy, which allows Peach to fly and create a whirlwind to get rid of enemies and obstacles. Rage, which causes Peach to storm around and cause small earthquake-like tremors when she jumps. Sadness, which causes Peach to cry hysterically and run really fast. And finally Calmness, which is basically a way for Peach to replenish her health. While these abilities are gimmicky and situational, if you ask me, they're executed well and blend into the levels well, and can be used almost seamlessly at times. And admittedly, they can break up the pace of the platforming sometimes. For example, you having to stop and blow away a cloud so you can progress, or grab a collectible. It's not the most annoying thing in the world, especially because this game is really chill to begin with. It's not like this game is a fast-paced action platformer. You can blast through these levels if you really want, but I think these levels are kind of built for and are best experienced in the go at your own pace and explore kind of way rather than the Sonic the Hedgehog approach. And trust me, you will have to explore the levels because in one of the game's lamer aspects, you're required to free all of the toads that are held captive throughout this game's 8 worlds.
This does make sense in terms of Peach's character because you could probably imagine she'd be the last person to let a loyal subject suffer in a box for all eternity. But it's still quite annoying, especially when it's never outright staged, you need to rescue all of the toads. And it just, I think it's one of the times this game being piss easy actually works in its favour, because if you miss out a toad or two and need to backtrack, backtracking shouldn't be too much of a task.
The game has a few optional collectibles too, puzzle pieces which help you unlock puzzle mini-games, not the best incentive in the world, but it's there for if you want to try them. Music notes which unlock level themes and such which can be listened to through the main menu, and finally Toad mini-games. Again, much like the Toad collecting, these feel like padding more than anything else, but I guess they're fun and harmless enough to be enjoyed. I loved playing them as a kid, and still kind of like playing them every now and then, but they're not the best. Revisiting levels to find all of the collectibles you've missed shouldn't be too bad though, because this game is a treat to look at. The devs made their own sprites and assets for this game, and they're great. Everything in this game is brimming with life, from hysterical sad Goombas who run at you full speed while crying, to jolly piranha plants that float around spitting fireballs. It can be kind of hard to bring a 2D platformer to life, but this game does it really well. All of the sprites and environments look great, and this game is just full of charm. And the great graphics are accompanied by an equally great soundtrack, full of fun, whimsical and exotic tracks that are absolutely infectious.
With such great presentation and decent gameplay, I don't see why such a fun game gets so much shit. If you ask me, I'd say go track down a copy for cheap and buy it. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but if you enjoy platformers, I feel like there's something you could enjoy from this game. Anyway guys, that's enough out of me. I've been XYZCruncher. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe, share, do all that good shit. It gets me that one step closer to being able to do this as a job, which is ultimately what I want. As a celebration for reaching 150 subscribers, which isn't a big milestone to most, but is to me, I've left a link in the description to a straw poll. You guys can vote on the review that will be the one after the next one that's coming up, since that's already in production. And yeah, I am kind of aiming for 1,000 by the end of the year, but it is a tall order, so if you guys could really help me out and give me the motivation to carry on doing this and give me a reason to, you know, carry on chasing this dream of making YouTube my full-time job. I guess share as much as you can, show as many people you can my channel as you can. Just collectively sharing my videos about to people who might enjoy them will really just mean that much more to me, and will just help me grow, because it is a big passion of mine. I am rambling a bit. I'm back to my bi-weekly and semi-weekly schedule. I should have a video out maybe next week, depending on what happens, and then for sure a review the week after. And then obviously I'll be starting to work on the review that'll be voted on by you guys. Again, I'm leaving a straw poll in the description. You guys can vote on the straw poll, and Yeah, I'm guessing that's all. I've been XYZCruncher. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crunchy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I forgot to say that. But yeah, I've been XYZCruncher. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crunchy. And I'm out. Peace.